Hey Gemini, it's me Stormy, and here's your horoscope for 2020, and we are going to jump in here and take a look around your year. Now 2020, Gemini, has lots of buzz. We've got Saturn and Pluto coming together astrologically, as well as Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn in the great conjunction at the end of the year. There are 6 eclipses that we'll be working with instead of 4. Every planet that can will retrograde, so there is a lot on the table for 2020, and we're going to take it one little thing at a time. But first and foremost, before I jump in and break this down by date for you, Gemini, I do want to give you a general idea of the theme of your year. And there is a lot happening for you, Gemini, in the arenas that have to do with either flat out money and how you make money and invest money. But I feel like, based on some forecasting I did this year before, this again comes up to your value, your self-esteem, your self-worth. All of these things of value come up for you. And as we continue to travel through the year, and definitely including the Venus retrograde, it has a lot to do with relationships as well. So I think that you're going to get to see a fair amount of shifting and changing throughout 2020 with yourself that will later, as we move towards the end of 2020 and into 2021, will have to do with bringing new relationships into your life. But so much of it will hinge on this idea of your own value. Now, as we come into 2020, I love it that Jupiter is still making space and working for you in that 8th house. You've got a lot that's up there that is to your benefit. Jupiter helps bring some cash flow, brings some collaboration, maybe even sponsorship. It brings some area of kind of unlikely income or resource to your table that you don't necessarily have to earn, but it's able to come to you. It can also bring an intimate or tight pairing kind of collaboration to your table as well. So anything that you've been doing or you've been thinking about having on your table that would create passive income or anything like that, anything having to do with loans, anything that is money you don't necessarily have to stand there and work to earn, Jupiter's going to help you with that. Now, as we do get to the beginning of the year, we've got an eclipse, and we've also got Saturn and Pluto coming together, and that will bring a fair amount of tension to the table. So that will be something to pay attention to, because in fact, what it may do at the beginning of the year around all this 8th house goodness is put you in a position where you need to make some kind of new financial strategy or make some kind of adjustment or something like that. I'll go over it when we break that down by date. Now, we've got helpers this year, though, with that Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. These are going to be focused amounts of energy that really give you a zing forward. They help you. They're just so powerful, such big opportunities for you to make the changes that you need to make, because ultimately it is still an energy in this 8th house with Jupiter and Pluto there where you can have a good financial year if you're on top of understanding the value of things around you, your self-esteem, your investment with other people and things like that. It still can be an absolutely financially delicious year for you. Now, here's the other things I'm kind of thinking of. We've got these energies of Saturn moving into the energy of Aquarius, and then later in the year, Jupiter will move into Aquarius as well. So as Saturn moves into Aquarius for you, what this is going to light up is the 9th house space for you. This is the place and this is the space of faith. First and foremost, I teach it's about faith. But it's also the place of expansion, of putting yourself out there, teaching in some way. The law, morals, ethics, values, they come from this 9th house. So I will tell you, as Saturn moves in here, you get your first taste in March, and then it will officially move in here in December and be here until 2023. So if there's something you've been working on, something that you've needed to expand out into the world and somewhere or teach, this is going to be an energy that is to your benefit, but Saturn will demand that you actually put in the work. So you'll get a taste of this in March, and then you'll get to actually be super working on it again as we end this year. But I do want to make you mindful of that. Now, the last thing I want to say before we jump in and break these dates down is that really, truly, Gemini, this year we're going to finish up a lot of the energies that are happening on that Capricorn Cancer axis. Right? So we've had eclipses, we've had the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn respectively, and this has lit up your 2nd house, and this is about your money. This is about the things that you value, self-confidence, self-esteem. All of those things have been falling into your bucket. And I talked about this in a previous forecast, but Gemini, if you've been letting anyone else decide your value or your worth, it is time for that to stop. You've got skills, you've got talent, you've got you to bring to the surface and bring to the table, but we need to see that. And we need to see you step into it kind of fearlessly this year if you're able to do that. Now, the other thing I think is going to be really critical for you to pay attention to is the relationships you need to lose or adjust because they are not helping you in any way, shape, or form. That said, Venus is going to be retrograde in your sign between May and June. This is a phenomenal opportunity for you, Gemini, to do some relooking at you. Do some relooking at your attitude, your identity. Do some relooking at whether or not you want relationships in your life. This is a year that romance could come floating to your table most unexpectedly. But if you're not ready or you don't want that, these are adjustments that you'll definitely want to look at making, okay? All right, Gemini, we've got value and money and belief all on the table for you here in 2020. So let's break this down by date and see how it plays out. Right at the beginning of the year, on the 10th, we've got a lunar eclipse happening at 20 degrees of Cancer, lighting up that second house for you. So the lunar eclipse says something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted, and it's going to bring a shift to your finances or to your self-worth for the next 6 months. In the energy of Cancer, I really believe it's saying, Gemini, if you haven't been nurturing you, if you haven't been nurturing your value, it is definitely time to do that. But it could also be, you know, we've got these other energies over in Capricorn. They could just be saying, get your money life together, get your self-esteem life together, because it's not a year to be unprepared, as it proves over here on January 12th when we've got Saturn and Pluto coming together at 22 degrees of Capricorn. This is going to be on the other side of the street of that second house, so it's going to light up other people's money. Intimacy, the way that you are intimately, financially, sexually, trauma, connected to other energies. In the 8th house, we have just deep connections to other people. Debt, right? This could be an energy for sure where your evolution is coming through maybe being in a position of debt and you're learning this year to take yourself out of it. When Saturn and Pluto come together, it's about every 34 years that they come hang out. And when they do, it is a slow evolutionary process that we get to evolve. But we have to tear down the old structures. We have to clean those out, get rid of them so that the new ones can live. That's exactly what Saturn and Pluto are doing here together. So the best way to do this is to be prepared and absolutely step into the action of the 8th house. Now, that typically with Saturn and Pluto, there's a little bit of loss that has to come from it. But with the loss, you gain exactly what you need to make this area successful. Mercury is also going to retrograde 3 different times this year, which is your ruling planet. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the monthlies, but just for FYI, it'll be February, June, and October of this year, all in water energies. So you can still watch the video I made last year on Mercury retrograde in your element to kind of see what the impact of what that's going to be before we even get to those videos. March 22nd, this is when Saturn takes that first initial dip into the energy of Aquarius, lighting up your 9th house. So remember, Saturn's coming to level you up. He's taking you to the next level. So something, whether it has to do with something legal, and you've got to get some legal work underway, or if it has to do with your expansion, teaching, sharing something that you know, your expansion of your faith, your integrity, your beliefs, your moral compass, any of these things could be changing. And I do hope, Gemini, that some of these ideas are changing because you've got to stand on your own beliefs. Now, the other thing I think that this is really great for with Saturn here is if there are traditions, if there are values that you're moving back towards, it'll show you whether they're yours to embrace or not, or if they're yours to let go. But ultimately, this is a helper. Saturn is trying to make this area so solid that you can stand on your 9th house for the next 29 years. That's a pretty long time. Now, Saturn will be here until July, then it will continue some retrograde activity back into Capricorn, and then it'll come forward in December. May 13th through June 25th, we've got Venus taking her retrograde in your sign. So like I said, this is a brilliant time for you to reevaluate reevaluate the relationships in your life. Are you getting what you need? Relationship lessons are going to become a very big theme as we continue on here. So, do you want to have a relationship in your life? With Venus retrograde, it's not a great idea to start new relationships if you can avoid it, or make really big investments. So it's not the best time for that. If you could avoid that, I think that's a really good idea. But it is a great time for some internal reflection about maybe how relationships have even been driving you. What are the relationships that you need in your life that you've been pushing away? What are the ones that you have in your life that you need to push away, right? So there's a really nice focus on how you're showing up and what's right for you with this Venus retrograde time for sure. And it's Venus retrograde, my friends. An old love or an old idea of a lover could certainly show up at your doorstep. But remember, things that come back in your retrograde are there for resolution. So just keep that in mind. June 5th, we've got a lunar eclipse happening at 15 degrees of Sagittarius, so across the street from you in your opposite energy, which is going to make it the 7th house. All things that have to do with relationships, conscious chosen relationships is what we do in the 7th house. So you know these people, right? It's destiny's not just throwing them in your life. You know these people. You have chosen to partner with them in some way, shape, or form. So it could be a boyfriend, it could be a marriage, it could be anybody you are partnered with. It could also be a business partner in some way, shape, or form, or your ideas about partnership could show up here as well. Now with this lunar eclipse, something I'm thinking is, again, that there's a relationship that maybe needs to be adjusted. This particular eclipse is happening while Venus is retrograde in your sign. So both you, the me, and the we energies are absolutely lit up here. So if there is a relationship that needs to be ended in some way, it doesn't mean necessarily that the relationship completely goes out of your life. Maybe what has to happen, Gemini, is you step into that relationship owning your self-esteem and confidence, and you say, this is how I'm willing to participate. If that doesn't work for you, then we need to let it go. But if not, everybody needs to adjust. So allow the evolution, the wisdom of Sagittarius to come to this table. And it could also be, I'm just thinking of this now, maybe you show up in a relationship and you're the teacher to this person, or maybe even this body in some way, shape, or form. So keep an eye on that with the Venus retrograde. June 21st, we've got a solar eclipse happening at 0 degrees of Cancer, so lighting up your 2nd house. And July 5th, we've got that lunar eclipse happening in Capricorn at 13 degrees, lighting up your 8th house. This will end the eclipses on the Capricorn Cancer axis. So there will be adjustments to your finances. Now, I do love that the solar eclipse in June gives you an opportunity for new beginnings with something in your financial life, new beginnings with your self-esteem, new beginnings with how you make money in some way, shape, or form. And that lunar eclipse brings an adjustment that will welcome in the energy of that solar eclipse so that you can have a fresh start financially, intimately, at a level of some level of value for yourself at this time. Now, September 9th through November 13th, Mars is retrograde in the energy of Aries, and he's quite comfortable. He's actually very happy over there because he rules Aries. So he's comfortable being in a retrograde fashion over there. Would much rather prefer to be forward, but what do you do? This is going to light up your 11th house. So in a Mars retrograde, one of the things we suggest or recommend is that you don't do surgery if you can avoid it, because Mars is the energy of war, of cutting and surgery, and surgeons all fall under the rulership of Mars. So if you can avoid it at that time, please do. If you can't, it's just life on life's terms, my friends. Make the best decisions you can. But it's not a great energy for running out to get into a social club, into a social group. Push forward your actions of your future plans or anything like that. More so, it's about cleaning up. Do you need to check back in with your social connections? When's the last time you looked at your LinkedIn? I mean, is that current, or is that your picture from the 90s? Seriously. Is it time for an upgrade? Mars is phenomenal for finishing things because the action will be in the direction of the past. Finish those things, take action. And I also think in the area of your 11th house, if there are friends that you need to catch up with or make adjustments to, make sure that you have the tribe that you desire in your wheelhouse so that as you go forward, you have all of the support you need. You're going to really be working on relationships. It will be abundantly clear that this retrograde will help you. On November 30th, we have got a lunar eclipse in your sign at 8 degrees of Gemini, followed December 14th by a solar eclipse in Sagittarius across the street. So now the relationship work really kicks in. I mean, you're going to be making adjustments here. Now, we've already seen some energies in the 1st and 7th houses, but at this point in these eclipses in December, you're making adjustments to what you've seen already, but it does give you impact for the next 6 months. So you'll be able to watch your relationship life change, maybe new partnerships that are very significant or act as teachers to you, or you're teaching in some way, come into your life. Again, remember that Venus retrograde will certainly, and that Mars retrograde as well, will certainly help you make adjustments to the relationship life. Now, on December 17th, we've got Saturn back into the energy of Aquarius. Now that 9th house is lit up until 2023. On the 20th, Jupiter comes into Aquarius in the 9th house. And December 21st, we see Saturn and Jupiter coming together in what we call the Great Conjunction. Now, as these two come together, they are called the rulers of the age, and we're moving towards the age of Aquarius. They are over religious things, political things, economic things, law, order, our wisdom of the masses. So this globally will create a very big transition for us. We'll start to see, I think we'll start to see a little bit of the chaos start to slow down a little bit. But for you, this is a turning point in your expansion, in your education, in your integrity, in your beliefs, in your business, maybe even internationally. This is a huge turning point for you, because what's going to happen is you're going to realize things that started happening for you in 2012 to 2015, those were just indicators that were starting to move. Maybe even a project that you started at that time is about to land back on your table, and this is your turning point to create calamity, or to create serenity out of where there was calamity in your world. Bring some soothing to where there was chaos, and ultimately expand out. It's something unique. It's something different. This is in the energy of Aquarius, so expect it to be different. Maybe even very technological, or in a grouping sense in some way, shape, or form. But it is certainly time for you to move the reality of your beliefs, your faith forward, Gemini. And maybe it's even just a really strong faith in who you are and what you bring to the table. Now, as we get ready to end this particular breakdown of your forecast, I want to really point out your Jupiter and Pluto conjunctions, because these are our yes, honey, thank you energies. So Jupiter and Pluto are going to come into conjunction April 4th, June 30th, and November 12th. And again, you care about these because these are big pockets of focused action, focused opportunity. You can really create something. It is your signal that an opportunity here is available for you. This will continue to light up your 8th house. So again, I tell you, this is the timing that you can use to take advantage of opportunities in front of you. Take a large leap forward in things that can make you more money, that will help you with your astrology, your healing, your joint resources, maybe a very nice collaboration in some way, whether it's financial aid for school, a loan, sponsorship from YouTube, whatever it is. These are your dates where you can make these massive leaps forward. So make sure you take advantage, okay? All right, Gemini, like this video, comment, share, subscribe. I look forward to traveling with you all through 2020. I'll be there every month and every week, walking you through all the goodies that are coming and how we can take advantage of them. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.